Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia, who's laughing because
I'm
I think I
laughing.
skipped.
You scared me. Your voice was so loud.
Yeah, well, you got to speak
You're
up.
like, hey.
I know, I know, that's funny.
Oh my gosh. Hey, everybody.
Hey, how are y'all doing today? Can y'all hear us? Okay, let's do a quick audio check. Dual, I see you, Dual and Dr. Vibe. Give us a yes if you can hear us. Let us know you can hear us. We'll see the yeses come through. That'll let us know we can move forward. Hey, Sharif Smith, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Tara Redmond, Leroy Dawson, top of the day to you too from Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. Shout your city out. Dr. Vibe, the Dr. Vibe Show.
Hey,
What?
Dr.
Dr.
Vibe.
Vibe,
How
straight
you
out of
doing?
Toronto. All right, my name is Corey. Says I'm good. Anthony Hill, Rachel
We
Hall,
got
D122.
regulars. We got regulars, boys.
Yeah, well,
That makes me feel special.
we love y'all and y'all love us, and that works out, right? That's called reciprocity. Reciprocity. That's right. We reciprocate. Anthony Hill, how are you? Rebecca Hoover, good to see you. Traveling man, Black First from St. Albans, Queens, New York. Very nice.
Wait, traveling man. I had somebody say that to me one time.
Are you a traveling man?
Are you a traveling
Ain't that what they
man?
say at the Masons or something? Ain't that like a
Yeah, but I don't think I had anybody ask me if I'm a traveling man. But I've
uh
heard people say that. Did someone
yeah.
say that to you?
Yeah, you know what? I have never heard it said to me, but because I'm not, fraternity or anything.
Okay. It seems like I've heard people ask people, "Are you a traveling man?"
Yeah,
And I think that might be code for like, "Are you in the group?"
yeah, good point.
Anyway,
Hey, my views is here asking about the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. How great is that? Yeah, well, you know what? The Tulsa Real Estate Fund is run by Jay Morrison. He does something called Tref Talks, and he does it every Tuesday. So I encourage you to go and investigate to see what they're doing over at the Tref Fund. I did issue a statement to make it 100% clear that I've never have been, nor am I, a paid endorser of the fund. I do not work for the fund. I'm not an employee of the fund. I do not give investment advice. And I encourage you to make sure that you do research when you make investments. And so give me a yes for everybody who understands that I do not give investment advice. Give me a yes if you understand that I am not paid by the Tulsa Fund. I know people say this because I've supported dozens and dozens of black owned businesses. 86% of black owned businesses fail. 86% of black owned businesses fail.
is that real? Is that true?
That is
That's
really
a
true.
real number?
Yeah.
86?
Yeah. Well, black owned businesses
What
have,
the heck?
three big problems. One, they get discriminated against by white people. Two, they get discriminated against by black people. Three, they don't have access to capital. And then you can add a bonus, which is that when a black owned business makes a mistake, people pull out the lynch mob. And so I think that Jay Morrison with the Tulsa Fund has questions he must answer. And I did tell him that, Julian Gordon has basically been, on behalf of the investors, he's been demanding that Jay answer certain questions about the fund. And I talked to Jay extensively. I talked to Julian extensively because I supported both of these guys because I've supported a lot of black-owned businesses. But both of those guys, when they first got started, reached out to me for support. I supported them because I support the brothers, I support the sisters, I supported dozens of black people, and so because I supported both of these guys, I talked to them both, and I just said, okay, if there are questions that need to be answered, then go answer them. I invested in the fund also, again because you know that I've invested in a lot of people, so that's a really important point to make, and I stand on that 100%. That that we have to, don't if you lost your last nickels investing in something, let me just tell you, I'm gonna be the first one to tell you, never invest money in something that you haven't researched, and never invest money that you can't afford to lose. Because I've lost money investing. Now, did I lose money with the Tref Fund? I don't know yet. I don't know how that's going to work out. But at the same time, I think it's if you don't understand that sometimes things are going to go wrong, then you should not be an investor, because investors have things that go wrong, and this is something that people have questions about, and I encourage them to ask as many questions as they want. So I've issued a statement. Dual has my statement. So if you feel free to share it, if anybody wants to see it. All right. So let's get back into it. All right.
Well, no, I just want to say, like, I've met with Jay. I've talked to Jay and I've talked to Julian. Both of those men are really upstanding people. I'm a good read of people. I like to
Mm,
feel that I am.
mm-hmm.
Use my, my therapy skills. I'm a good read of people, and both of those men are super sincere and super passionate in what they do.
Yeah, yeah, and I think but the thing is, right now they disagree about the direction of the fund, and what I did was I tried to facilitate and say, okay, this is what Julian's saying, Julian, this is what Jay's saying. At that point, I let them sort of deal with it. I
Yeah,
I personally kind of look at it as, hey, I support dozens and dozens of black-owned businesses, and sometimes they don't work out, and that's just what it is, and I'm gonna keep on supporting black people. I ain't gonna stop.
mhm,
And I think that we have to realize that no matter what you think about the Tulsa Fund, the investors do deserve to have their questions answered.
they
But
do.
but also you got to know the difference between people that genuinely want what's best for the community versus people that just enjoy all the funk and all the stink and all the chaos. So
Well, you know how I am. I always like to say, something ain't right with that one.
right,
I always,
exactly.
y'all just don't know.
Well,
I be telling you,
you
watch out for that one.
you
And
have said
have
that.
I been right?
You have been
I
right.
have been right.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
have been right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You've had I've had plenty of black people around me that I wish weren't around me. But that's life. You got to learn how to move forward. Not let your heart go dark. But believe me, the disappointments are always there's always a possibility that things can disappoint you. So
Well,
anyway,
it's my black girl magic
it is. Well,
as
speaking
we
speaking of black girl
transition
magic,
to
let's
the
transition to the
topic.
topic. So today's topic is Simone Biles and Sha'Carri Richardson. Give me a yes if you've been following Sha'Carri in the World Championships. She's been doing an amazing job. Sha'Carri is now the world champion in the 100 meters. Also, she got a silver medal, no, a bronze medal in the 200 meters, and a gold medal in the 4x1, and so now also you have Simone Biles, who is just absolutely dominant in gymnastics, and you and I were talking about Simone and Sha'Carri today in terms of just not only are they extraordinarily talented, but you saw some things in terms of mental health going on with both of them. I remember last year. I don't know if y'all remember last year, but Sha'Carri kind of had her breakdown. Really, she had a bad 2021 and a bad 2022, and she's kind of come back and made herself into who she is in 2023. Now Sha'Carri, I mean, so Simone took time off. She kind of stepped away, and she said it was for her mental health, and she had made so much money, and that she ended up just I guess chilling. She's sitting back with her fiance. So what?
She's married now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She
She
got married.
she did. She got married earlier this year. Yes, she did.
Yeah. Really
Yeah,
beautiful. So, I mean, it's not even just Simone Biles and Sha'Carri what's her last name?
Sha'Carri Richardson.
Sha'Carri Richardson. It is the whole team of black girls.
Mm,
Because it's just like Sha'Carri Richardson, like she won that 4x100, but there were three other absolutely beautiful black women on that team that won too.
right,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's not even just her and Simone Biles. It's not even Simone Biles. Do you know the second place, the runner up? Simone Biles, by the way, is competing for the national championships this weekend. She's
Mm,
in first place. But not only is she in first place, the girl in second place is also black.
wow.
Sharice, I was reading about it. Sharice, I want to say her name is Sharice Jones. She's in second place. And get a load of this, boys.
What?
The third place
There's also another
is
black girl.
also black. Her name is Sky.
Mm,
So no matter what happens, it's gonna be a black girl taking home the championship. Like
well,
that is just
well,
so
the thing
beautiful.
about it is, I'm going to be honest and say that I don't think, for some reason, people have made it taboo to talk about the role that slavery played in making us into what we are. They used to breed the strongest slaves, and they did that for a long time. And this athletic dominance of black people is driven obviously by lots of hard work, of course, because you can't, reach your potential without hard work. But we have natural physical gifts that other people don't have, and it's really fun. And when you
Oh.
don't know about the fact that there used to be entire breeding plantations and the stuff that Dr. Claude Anderson teaches you because they want to whitewash history, you're surprised. You're thinking, well, why are black people just so dominant in any sport that involves explosive strength or explosive speed? If you watch the final of the men's 100-meter dash at the World Championships, there's usually rarely a non-black person in the finals. I don't think there was a single white guy. Maybe there might have
The
been
guy
one.
from Italy,
The
wasn't
guy
he
from
killing
the
it?
guy from
But he
Italy.
got some melanin.
I don't, but and I
He
don't
got
think,
some melanin
and I
in
don't
him.
think he was in the 100-meter
Oh,
final.
okay.
But
Maybe I'm
maybe he
getting him
might have been.
mixed
He
up.
could have been.
He may
I
not.
gotta go look. But at the same time, we know who dominated. We know who won. Who we know who got first, second, and third. And I think that it's kind of interesting. So that's what I see when I see that. Just as somebody who's a track coach, and I know I've read about fast twitch fibers and what it takes and all that. I just think genetically we have something that makes us just amazing. And then you add that to the fact that we do work hard. We're very strong people mentally, so it's all gonna kind of come together in sports.
I got the fast twitch fibers. Did you know that?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I when I got my 23andMe, they told me that I have the muscle buildup of an elite athlete.
You do. Wow,
Except, I
that
learned
is so
about it when
cool.
I was 50. Well, I'm not quite 50, but I learned about it in my 40s. But that would have been nice to know when I was younger.
Yeah,
Hey.
yeah, AJ's right. Jimmy the Greek did say that, and he got fired for saying it
Yeah, a white
because,
person can't say that
well,
though.
they can't say it because they don't want to talk
But they
about.
all
They,
thinking it.
well, they don't want to talk about what happened to us. They don't want to talk about history.
Mhm.
White people, they want to act like it never happened, and I'm like, no. And any black people that don't want to talk about it, no, you need to talk about it, because this is going to be part of the reparations conversation that's going to happen next year when they start wanting to give reparations to anybody who's not a white man. They say, oh well, let's give it to Mexicans, let's give it to gay people, let's give it to anybody who's not a white straight white male. Then it's our experience gets watered down. I have no shame in talking about what my ancestors went through. And what infuriated me when I started reading Dr. Claude Anderson books was all the stuff that they just lied to us about. Like, they never told us things that they experienced, and that explains the mental health crisis that exists in our community. Like, for example, with these two young ladies, neither one of these young ladies was raised by their two biological parents. Neither one of them. Both of them, I think Simone ended up going to live with her grandfather and his wife. Sha'Carri was raised by, I believe, her grandmother and her aunt. And do y'all don't think that's a coincidence? Like it's not a coincidence, actually. It's not a coincidence, because I think that in the black community, trauma is so common that it's ridiculous. I think that drugs have obliterated the black community. Sha'Carri's biological mother died. She didn't even know. She found out from a reporter. How many people? And in fact, when she said, "I smoke weed," remember she got caught smoking the weed or whatever. When she said, "I smoke weed because I heard about the death of my biological mother," that right there told me that was not a normal relationship. Who calls their mother their biological mother? So I just think these two women and they're so amazing, but it also just makes me so sad. What do you think?
Okay, first thing I want to say is that I really do think that Black American people, we are just the chosen ones. I really do think that we are just the unique people in this country. There's nobody like us everywhere we go. And I think at this point, I've been so many different places in the world. Thank you, boys. Thank you, boys, for your
Mm,
travels. I have to
You're
say, I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
But I have,
we just got back from Denmark. Sorry.
yeah, I mean, I have interacted with Black people all across the globe,
Right.
even here in this country. And I mean, I'm not saying I love Black people. As far as I'm concerned, Black people all over the globe, we all attached at the hip. We're
Right.
all attached. But I do think African Americans, we're just unique. We're a unique breed of people. And we are the chosen ones. We really are the chosen one. We are the forefront of not only just art and music and athletics, but we're also just as intelligent. And it's amazing that we've accomplished everything that we've accomplished given our unique history.
Yeah.
And there's nobody else on the planet that has the history that we have.
Well, I mean,
Thanks.
who else can say that they're descendants, or that they're descendants of the people who survived the slave dungeons, the Middle Passage, where half the people died on the trip over. We survived 250 years of the most brutal slavery known to man. We survived 100 years of Jim Crow. We survived mass incarceration, and we're also surviving whatever they're doing to us right now, which
Hmm.
is, absolutely extraordinary. It speaks to how strong and how powerful we are. And so, you know,
We're
um,
like a diamond. I mean, we've been squeezed and prodded so much. I mean, we still come out shining like diamonds, but even a diamond has a little bit of a flaw in there. There's a little
Mm,
imperfection in that diamond, even though it's the hardest. Isn't it one of the hardest materials that we have?
it
Like,
is, but actually, diamonds are not as valuable as they make you believe.
okay,
I
well,
read, I remember reading somewhere where they said that they just De Beers pretty much spends
oh
money
gosh.
trying to convince us that diamonds are more valuable than they are, and that they're rarer than they are.
Okay. But the thing is that the properties of a diamond is that it's a very hard sub material.
Mm,
And I don't know if I want to say material, but it's a really hard item, but there's always some imperfections in there.
that's true.
In the diamond, I mean, if you ever search for diamonds or bought diamonds, you can see the little imperfections. I think it's the 3 C's of diamonds or whatever, cut, clarity,
But
and
what's that have to do with black people, though?
it's an analogy, boys.
Okay, what's the
Given the
analogy?
analogy that
Get to the
we
analogy.
are
I don't get it.
hard, but we come out of, and you think about how diamonds are. Diamonds come from what?
A
Coal,
coal, right?
right? Coal is black like us.
Okay.
Come on, boys. You got to get the analogy here.
Hmm.
And I mean, in it comes this shiny, resistant substance. And I really do think that that's who we are. Now, what you were also talking about in our resistance and our hardness, that little imperfection in that diamond, like how we are as Black people, the little imperfection is related to the trauma,
Hmm.
of not only just but our trauma, our personal trauma that we've had in our own families, but it's also epigenetics connected to that. So we're carrying on the trauma of our ancestors.
Hmm.
So at the same time, it makes our background and our situation just so much more complicated and so much more, oh my goodness, so much more chaotic,
Right. Everybody, you're
right?
watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. And if you could take a moment, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell. And also, Dr. Alicia is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. My PhD is in finance. And so if you'd like to learn more about what Dr. Alicia does, you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. That's coachingwithdralicia.com. Also, I'm going to be in Los Angeles next week on the 8th and the 9th, doing a Black Wealth training camp. And I'm going to talk about brand building and just share some perspectives on how to develop your brand, how to monetize, how people become known in their field on social media and stuff like that, how I got over 1 million followers and all that stuff without really getting any financial support. So if you're interested in joining us in LA, just go to boycewatkins.com. There's also lots of free stuff there, like the $5 a day investing plan, how to make money without working, things like that. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com. Hit the thumbs up button. Okay, so we're talking about Sha'Carri Richardson and Simone Biles, and the reason I wanted to bring these two up today is because they're both extraordinary at what they do. Sha'Carri's just killing it right now. Simone's gonna be killing it. I was reading Simone's Wikipedia page. It was
Huh.
it was super long.
She's breaking history this weekend if she
Well,
wins.
she's already. Do you know
No,
she's the most decorated gymnast ever
yeah,
already by a long shot.
by a
Like,
long shot.
yeah, so she's gonna break more records this weekend, I'm sure.
But
But
this weekend, I think if she wins, and it looks like that she is going to win. If she wins, she'll have be the eighth time all around.
mm,
And I know nobody has ever claimed that title of winning 8 championships,
yeah.
national
I mean, when I
championships.
was reading her bio, it was
Yeah.
really it was really impressive because she could never ever she could decide right this second, I'm never gonna do another flip ever in my life,
And still be
and
killing it.
would be
Yeah.
known as the greatest gymnast of all time.
Yeah.
Like they were talking about records she broke that were 20 years old, 40 years old, things like that. I mean, she's like
Crazy.
Sha'Carri's good. I watch track. Sha'Carri is amazing. She was the sixth fastest woman of all time. She just now ran a 10.65, which I ironically, just to give Sha'Carri credit, because we did give her, I gave her loving criticism when she was acting a damn fool, but to give Sha'Carri credit, I believe Sha'Carri is probably as fast as FloJo. And even though she did not break FloJo's record officially, and let me tell you why. There are a lot of people who believe that FloJo's world record didn't actually happen. Her world record in 100 meters, they were looking at There's a long video that somebody did where they did a deep dive analysis on the day that Flojo ran that race, and they said every other race had a lot of wind behind it. All the other 100-meter heats had like insane amounts of wind. Like, and wind makes a big difference. If you know anything about track and field, you know that if you get a wind of like 3 miles an hour at your back or 4 miles an hour, you're going to be flying. Your time's going to be insane. And they said the wind was super heavy for the heat before hers and the heat before that. But for some reason, Flojo's heat, it registers zero wind. And basically, it's like they were like the wind thing. They believe the wind measure was broken, and so what happened was she ran a wind aided time, and and then also they talked about the fact that at that time there were just different kinds of steroids used. That's why a lot of women can't break the a 35-year-old 400-meter dash record because the lady that ran it was like pumped up full of steroids. So ultimately I'm going to tell you, I think Sha'Carri is a little bit like a new FloJo. I think that she continues to represent herself well and doesn't just pop off and go crazy if she loses, and continues to maintain the grace that she's maintained. She's really going to go into an Olympic year. Really, as the Golden Girl, as one of the Golden Girls. Because she is a beast in terms of talent. I've become a real huge Sha'Carri Richardson fan because I think she handled herself extremely well during the World Championships.
Yeah, I'm all for a comeback. I really I love to follow people's story of success. You know this about me, boys. I love to follow that, and I love to see people kind of be on top and then they're at the bottom and then they have to work really hard and really save face and like become number one again. So that was just beautiful to see her redeem herself this weekend. I love the fact that she got the opportunity to get the stage and to get a chance to just make up for that ugly showing that she had. And I will say ugly. I think it didn't show the best of her. And I remember thinking she's better than this. Like she is better than this. She's better than this. She's better than somebody who is just a terrible loser and poor sportsmanship and all of those things that that she was displaying. This is a great comeback, and I think she won with grace. And again, I'm saying you can truly find the making of a person's character by how they lose. So whatever it is, she's going to win some and lose some, but she has to be an upstanding person. And I really love how she's carrying herself. It's so beautiful to see.
I do too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Sha'Carri is she's really doing a great job as they kind of get ready for the Olympic year. I think that's
Yeah.
like the money year. That's when, everybody starts paying attention again.
Yes. And
That's
hopefully she'll get her sponsorships back and
Yeah.
she will, and the momentum will keep going in her direction. And I
Yeah.
think it's great. And I also think that like clearly there were some mental health issues happening,
Mhm.
with her. By the way, I'm not diagnosing it. Just like you don't give people financial advice, I'm
Mhm.
not diagnosing anybody. We're just looking at behaviors that all of us can see and we're just talking about it. So
Mhm.
I can't diagnose somebody unless they're in my office and they pay their little money and I have this confidential sort of environment with them. But just to see visual behaviors and things that we see from her, it seemed like she really was struggling. Can you imagine? She's lost her biological mother. That loses When you lose your biological mother that you've lost contact with on some point, to learn about her passing in that way, that means you're giving up the hope of ever having a relationship with this person, that your mother is so important to you. So
I
you've
I do
given up this hope. So I mean, it's terrible that she experienced that. And, the coping mechanisms sometimes aren't what it
Yeah,
should
I
be.
didn't believe her explanation. I didn't believe she was smoking weed
Okay.
just because her mama died. I just don't. I think
But
that
that's
the
not a good thing to go
Right,
through,
right. I think that the tragedy of her losing her biological mother started 20 years ago when she was a baby and had no mother. I think that's when it started, right? Like my father died and I did not know my biological father. And when he died, I did not have a bad day. I did not get sad. I did not feel the
But
need
how
to go
could
to
you not be affected by that
I
though?
wasn't affected because I have a father I'm connected to. I have people in my life that I've formed oxytocin based connections with
Uh-huh.
because I've interacted with them thousands of times. My biological father, I talked to him maybe 3 times. So I didn't need that. I don't, maybe I'm supposed to be connected to him. But if you don't bond with somebody, then you don't know them.
I
So
saw
I,
his I saw his picture
hmm
And I'm like, that's Boyce. And
Well,
it's like for me, like I don't
but let's not talk about me. I don't want to
have
talk about. I want.
that.
I don't want to
But
talk about.
y'all look a lot alike.
I appreciate that. Thank you, but I don't. I would rather talk about the issue though.
Okay, well you
Let's
brought it
focus.
up.
I know, but let's not talk about me and my
Well,
dad.
don't bring it up
It's
if you
not
don't want
about
to talk
me.
about it.
But it's about the issue. What I'm saying though is, I think people think that parenthood is something you just have, that you just are. Like, I'm your father or I'm your mother, and that's all that matters. I think it. I think you have to earn it to a certain extent. And I think that for whatever reason, her mother was not in her life. I think that if she was smoking weed, she was just smoking weed. I think that they crafted. How about this? I'm not gonna say for sure. I'm gonna say it's not inconceivable that they said, okay, let's find something to explain away the fact that you were smoking weed, like damn near every other young person is now. They really have convinced young people that it's okay to smoke weed all the time. Like so many of them do, and they don't, understand, especially if you consume large amounts of all that THC and all the other stuff. That's not good for you. Going around you smelling like weed, you can't do your job, you're not showing up to work on time, your brain ain't working right. I don't like that, especially when you talk about what they've done to the weed. I think that's another trap for young black people. I think that's another thing that they put out there. And because I've seen it, I've had to fire people because they wouldn't stop smoking all the time. And it's just like, dude, you're coming to work, you're giggling, you're laughing, you're messing up, you can't remember stuff. So long story short, I will say that I wasn't convinced, honestly. I was like, okay, that's what you're saying for PR purposes. For all we know, it could have been something you just normally do, or it could be a masking agent for something that you have to take. Like, I'm more of a realist in terms of performance enhancing drugs and all that. Whatever, forgiven. What I had an issue with Sha'Carri though was just being a sore loser. I think that when she went on to national TV and was cussing and being defensive and arrogant, I said, wow, she really needs to have good advisors around her, because she's not showing grace. She's not showing any kind of maturity. But now she's showing that. Like, I can see she's being coached off the track. And that's what Sha'Carri needed. I think she needed a good off the track coach that she respected enough to keep her from throwing away what could be as much as $100 million.
Oh, okay. You're done? Okay. So,
She doesn't listen. See how she doesn't
I
listen to me?
was
She
listening,
was
but
not
I
listening. She
didn't know
she
if
just listens until it's her turn to talk. Go
no,
ahead.
no,
Go
that is
ahead.
not true.
Go ahead.
I was waiting patiently, listening to what you had to say, but I didn't want to jump in and talk over you.
That's
So
okay.
I
Go
didn't
ahead.
know when you were done or not. So the thing is that that's her mom. And she said, I have to believe her words. She said, I lost my mother and that was hard on me. And so I gotta go with it. I gotta go with her explanation. And it makes sense that she would be affected by the fact that her biological mother passed on. And we have to for me, I have to go by what we see and we hear. And so if she said that, I believe her. You
I
know,
think what would have
I
been more
believe it
credit.
was difficult.
Okay, well,
It makes sense that it
what
would be.
I think what I'd like to see is, I'd like to see how many track meets her mother was at. If her mother was at every track meet or every other track meet, sitting next to her grandmother, because her grandma was at the track meets. When Sha'Carri won nationals, I followed Sha'Carri Richardson for probably since she was a freshman at LSU, and because she won the nationals as a freshman. And I remember when she won nationals, she went up in the stands and she hugged her grandmother. I did not see whether the cameramen were saying, "Oh, there she is hugging her mother." So that I don't know. I'd just be curious to try to but I'm not judging it. Right? It's over. It happened. The thing I was really challenging though was just the behavior, the public behavior, the kind of defensiveness and everything. I think she had a really tough 2021, 2022. And what makes me so happy for her is that she did come back. She got whatever mental health support she needed. And I think that she's going to be great. I think that if she goes into an Olympic year, it's laid out there for her. I mean, she's got the talent and the opportunity and the brand building. I mean, people love her. She's got millions of followers on social media. That's a multi-million-dollar brand right there.
Yeah, and hopefully, I don't know if there was some issues with her getting along with some of her teammates. And I mean, I'm hoping that this win will help her bond with some of the teammates and some of the differences that she had there. I mean, that would be a growth opportunity for her too, is to, take this win and even when I was happy that they won in this group exercise, because track and field is such an individual sport. Like you're against everybody, like you're competing against everybody. And so I think it's like really important for her to just as a person be able to show that dignity and grace to other people on the team and just as a sport in general. I mean, all the black girls on that track. I mean, they were just wonderful to look at this weekend. Even the women's
Mhm. 4.
four by one, what is it called?
The ones that messed up and got
The
disqualified.
one that messed up and got disqualified. I'm looking at those four women. They were absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely.
Absolutely beautiful women. And so even though they kind of messed up and they didn't do, they'll redeem themselves in the Olympics. I'm sure that they will. You only make that mistake once,
Oh, it won't.
you
It won't.
know.
Well, just know though the way track and field works is I'm not an expert, but I know a couple things.
Uh-huh.
It probably won't be the same four.
Oh, they're
Like
gonna
the
mix
yeah
it up.
yeah like even this year, like in the World Championships, the four women that ran the 4x1, it was Sha'Carri, Gabby Douglas, Gabby is it Gabby Thomas? Sorry, Gabby Thomas.
Not Gabby
Yeah,
Douglas.
not
That's
Gabby
track.
Douglas. That's the gymnast. Gabby Thomas, and two other. I don't have their name. Oh, TT Terry and someone else. The only person from last year's team that ran again this year was actually TT Terry. I believe maybe the first leg ran last year. I don't remember. I don't remember who the first leg was, but last year they had two white girls, Jenna Prandini and Abby
Yeah,
Steiner.
what happened to them?
They
They didn't
didn't.
make
They
it.
they didn't make the cut. Yeah,
They didn't make the
they
cut
picked.
this
I
year.
was surprised that TT Terry was on that team. I think they could have done better than her. But Sha'Carri, if you notice, the Jamaicans kind of showed up with a similar team. At least the last couple legs with Shirley Ann Fraser Price and Sharika Jackson. And if you remember last year, Sharika Jackson was eating up TT Terry. Remember how she was
She
chasing her down
was. She
and
chased
she
her down.
barely beat her. She didn't eat up any space on Sha'Carri. Sha'Carri, literally, if you look at the gap between Sha'Carri and Sharika, it stayed constant all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
And Sharika Jackson is not a game. She ran an incredibly fast time in the 200 meters. Sharika Jackson, she's probably a person that's faster than Flojo. Like
Well,
that's how beast she is.
it's just so interesting watching. Even France had an all black team. Even Great Britain had an all black team. It was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah. The Netherlands,
yeah, it was just really interesting. Well, like, did the Netherlands have a black team?
they did. They had a bunch of. I think their relay teams were black.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's just so fascinating how all these other countries, like, I'm rooting for everybody. I just want the black women to do well out there. I just want the black people to do well. It's almost like when the Olympics and stuff happens in the world championship happens. I just find myself, I'm just rooting for the black people to do well out there and to have a good showing.
Exactly.
Like, I don't even care what country they from. It's like,
Anyway, everybody, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And Dr. Alicia is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. Her website is coachingwithdralicia.com. And also, I'd like to invite you all to join us at this year's All Black National Convention. It's going to be in Atlanta at the Marriott Marquis Hotel. And if you'd like to join us October 20th up to the 22nd, where we're going to have over 40 experts there to solve problems for our community. I don't know everything. I know a few things, but I don't know everything. And so I reached out to lots and lots and dozens of Black experts in all kinds of areas from health and relationships to business and everything in between. And they're going to be there. And it's also a great big family reunion. So if you'd like to join us at the All Black National Convention, just go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. And also, I have a new book out. It's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. If you'd like to take a look at that book, just go to my website, boycewatkins.com. All right, so back to Sha'Carri and Gabby and or not Gabby. I keep saying Gabby.
well, I mean, yeah, Gabby Douglas.
Simone. What?
Gabby Douglas was so great. I mean, she was almost like the gateway to Simone Biles.
How would you feel if you were Gabby Douglas?
Gabby
It's kind of
Douglas
like
did
Gab.
her thing
Well,
though.
but Gabby was like the it girl,
She
and then
is.
Simone showed up, and I don't know. It didn't seem like Gabby was so happy about that.
No, you know what? I think they gotta be close. I don't know. I really don't know how they are together, but Gabby Douglas came on the scene and she was lighting it up. Like
She
you've
was.
never seen anybody jump so high as she jumped. And I really I call her the gateway. She's the gateway to Simone Biles. Almost like Venus Williams was the gateway.
To Serena.
to Serena. You
Yeah.
know, and that's what Gabby Douglas was the gateway. Gabby Douglas, shoot, she held her own
She was
in her
nice, but
career. You
I
know,
did notice an abrupt, like it's like everybody, it was all Gabby, and then Simone pops up,
Simone pops up
and
and
it
is
was like
killing it.
nobody really talked about Gabby anymore after that.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Gabby kind of just, and let me tell you, when I was talking about how Sha'Carri lost a lot of money because she seemed to make a lot of decisions that didn't make sense. Simone Biles has not done that. Simone Biles financially, from what I have gathered, has really optimized her brand. She could have retired years ago and never did another flip and been wealthy for the rest of her life. She has a big deal with Nike, but she has a lot of other sponsorships, and she's always sort of been able to make the right move socially and professionally to keep herself in a good financial situation. Like, I don't know what her net worth is, but I wouldn't be surprised if she was worth at least $50 million.
Oh, I mean, it's just a whole different sport. I think gymnastics is just so lucrative in and of itself. And not to mention, she's married to a professional football player. Oh my goodness, their children is going to be like top
Oh,
notch.
beast mode athletes. Oh yeah.
You
Oh
talk
my
about
gosh.
breeding,
Ooh.
breeding
The
somebody.
Dallas Cowboys, they just gonna pay them to make
They
babies.
just be like, keep
Like,
them
do
coming.
like Rumpelstiltskin. Just here's some money.
They
Just I want all your kids. Oh yeah, those kids are gonna be amazing
and they make
athletes.
such a beautiful couple. Oh my gosh,
That will be
they
that.
really do.
That's gonna be awesome. So, but yeah, I don't know. What do y'all think? Do you,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking about this. I don't know her husband's name though. I don't know if anybody
What
knows his
does he
name.
play for? I can't. We should do better
Yeah,
research
yeah, he's
before
a
we start.
football player, but
But listen, we can't be doing better research. This is pillow talk. We on our pillows.
exactly. I saw there was a guy who was trolling,
Oh,
and
what did he
so
say about me?
well, no,
Did he say about me or
well,
you?
no, my message to the trolls is that if you're a troll, you better be a quiet troll because if you reveal your position, you will be eliminated and you might be banned for life. So you come in here trolling. We don't. That being here is a privilege. It's not a right. We do not ask people to come in. We will boot your butt up out of here if you come in here acting ignorant.
All right. Well, okay. Hold it down,
This is a
boys.
space for intelligent black people. I want to be around people that want to be intelligent, that want to be productive. You got people out here that are just weird and stupid and have nothing better to do. People like that, that's fine. I mean, they can troll, but they just better be quiet when you trolling.
Well, I just like Simone Biles. That's another comeback story that I'm like super excited about. What?
I'm laughing. DDS said trolls should be afraid. Be very afraid.
Trolls should be afraid. Well, okay, wait. Let me say. Okay, another comeback. Another comeback this weekend, boys.
I
Simone
know.
Biles.
What
Like
about
that
it?
is just so beautiful.
Was it? But was it?
Because she
Oh, well, she
quit.
she is coming back.
Yeah, people talk bad about her and she got a lot of heat because
She took the mental health break.
she took the mental health break and she got the twisties. I didn't even know the twisties was a thing.
What is the
That's what
twisties?
she kept calling it. She said, I got the
What
twisties.
the hell is the twisties?
I don't know. I've never heard of such a thing. Back when I was growing up, when Mary Lou Retton was was in the Olympics, she never mentioned no twisties. I didn't even know twisties was a thing, but apparently it's a thing. It's a
Like
bona fide
what
thing.
is it?
I don't know what it is.
Then why would you? I mean,
But that's what she said. I gotta listen to the words. I gotta listen to the word. This little girl, Simone Biles, actually used the word twisties. She got the twisties. Is something like, is it a vertigo thing? I don't know. But it's a
oh,
potentially dangerous thing. It's a bona fide
oh,
real
really?
thing in gymnastics.
Oh,
The
wow.
freaking twisties this lady had.
Well, I wanted to get the
And she
twisties.
and she talked about her mental health issues. Was it anxiety and stuff? Crippling anxiety.
Well, you know what? One area where she's gotten some
I
credit,
love that.
one area where she's gotten criticism though is she has ADHD, right? And she takes Ritalin. Well, one thing Ritalin does is Ritalin helps you really, 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 really focus. So there are some people who feel that the use of Ritalin gives you an advantage that the other athletes don't have. Like you can really, center your attention on things in a way that, like golfers, if a golfer takes Ritalin, he's a better golfer because when you hit those putts, you got to really concentrate and all that. So some people have challenged her about Ritalin, but she got a medical exemption from the sports government, the World Doping Association, whatever they call it, you know. But that's one area that's been interesting. But I think the mental health thing was interesting. I noticed a lot of black women were responding when Simone took time off, as well as the tennis player Naomi Osaka. And remember
That's
that?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, she took time off too. Yeah, I mean, I think it's beautiful. I think a lot of black women, we just have been like socialized to think that we have to push through everything. That it's not okay for us to say, I'm just not feeling good today and I can't today. I just can't
Mm,
today. I can't. I'm gonna go sit down somewhere because this is not healthy for me. And I love that she did that because it brought a lot of awareness to mental health, particularly for black women. Like black women, we just get so, I mean, even just in the medical field. I mean, if you
mm,
just do any sort of research in the medical field, we're always undermined. We're always, even the pain that we go through in our medical procedures and the mental health issues, just to even talk about it, it's almost like you're weak.
mm,
And I really do think, I love the fact that she talked about that openly. First of all, it took a lot of courage and guts to be able to like self-disclose what was happening with her in terms of her mental health. I thought it
sure.
was beautiful, especially as a mental health provider myself. Like it was really nice to see that. And an entire generation of people was affected by her coming out and saying, I have anxiety. I have these issues I'm dealing with. I got to take a break. Like, it's okay to say, I need to sit down somewhere.
Mm, mm,
I've had enough. And just think about, you've been doing gymnastics. Just think about gymnastics. Like, you have to train for gymnastics all year around. It's like there's never a time off. So if you've been
mm,
doing gymnastics since she was a little, have you seen the videos of her doing
mm,
she's been in gymnastics since she was a little tiny little thing bouncing around. Like 5, 6 years old, there's a video of her like doing some amazing tricks, right? So like her whole life has just been this one sport. Like she needed time away
mm,
to take care of herself, to go ahead and get married, fall in love, do some things for herself that's outside of gymnastics so that she can like hit the reset button
mm.
and refresh herself and come back strong. Like
Yeah,
it's
I
beautiful.
think you know, yeah, I think that the reason that most of us are not really qualified to critique Simone Biles's decisions is because most of us don't understand how much sacrifice it takes to be
Oh,
ranked number one on the entire planet at something. Not to be in the top 1%. That's already a lifetime commitment. Top 1% don't mean nothing. There's hundreds of people in that group.
oh my God, she is the top. Like there hasn't been
Right.
a gymnast better than Simone Biles ever
Right.
in the whole history of
Right.
gymnastics.
Right.
It's
So
unbelievable.
it's like, going to medical school and having to study 12 hours a day, 7 days a week,
Oh,
nonstop, for 10 years straight. Like that's it's just a whole nother level. And I don't think people really understand that, right? So that's why I say things, with a huge grain of salt, when I evaluate her decision to take that time off. I do think though that anybody who also, while most of us are not qualified to criticize her decision, we're also not qualified to copy her decision or to use her decision to take a break from an incredibly stressful life to sort of explain why we ourselves aren't doing our best, right? And I think that when you say, "Oh, well, Simone Biles has anxiety," well, so do I. That's why I can't get up and go to my job at UPS in the morning. I understand that, but I think but becoming the number one gymnast on the entire planet is a little bit different from getting up and going to your job at Walmart,
yeah. Well,
right?
I'm
You know,
thinking of it more like black women. Like the black women I know, the ones who are married, the ones who are not married, the ones with children, the ones without children, they take on so much of the load,
that's
the
true.
mental load. Like
That's true.
they work 7 days a week. I know I work 7 days a week. I'm tired sometimes, and I'm like happy to take a little bit of time off that I take. Like I had COVID. Like it was great. You looked at me and you said you're gonna rest for the next 2 days, and it was just like I ain't never slept that hard because I came off of a very stressful trip. Like traveling to Europe, I do not like flying and being and having to sit in the airplane. That airplane ride was really hard on me, boys.
I know.
You know that, right? So it was just like difficult, like getting there. It was 8 hours in an airplane. That was like nerve wracking in of itself. So
Yeah, you flew through Finland.
it was just hard. It was just hard. It was just tough.
Yeah,
So the thing
I would
is
pop
like
in. I would
to
pop into
have
Instagram, and you had pictures of yourself in Finland and stuff,
it
and
was
you look like you were just so unhappy to be in all
well,
these
I
big
mean, it
white
was
countries.
oh look at me freezing my butt off. And but the thing is I just get it. You know, I have two jobs, three kids, a husband, extended family, like all this stuff that just like keeps me so busy. So I get it. You know, sometimes you just do need a time for self-care. Because if you don't take out time for self-care, how are you going to be able to do your work, your job at UPS?
Well, I had fun. I didn't go to Finland, but I enjoyed Iceland. I actually got into this. They have these they're not hot springs. That's what they call it, and it's the coolest thing because it's like it was like 40 degrees, and we were swimming in 40-degree weather, but it felt so good. And so I enjoyed my little Euro trip. I thought it was great. But I do get what you're saying, right? And I think that tendency to overwork, I've just seen that with a lot of black women who are carrying the load for any and everybody. And so when you got sick, one of the things I was determined to do was to tell you, like, just stay in the bed, chill out. And but you got to remember this, if you don't have the capacity to trust or to delegate or haven't worked to develop that, then yeah, you'll be in situations where you have no help. I overheard a single mom, you know, who was very upset about how hard it is to be a single mom. And I'm sitting there thinking, but you have two kids and they both have fathers. Why? What's going on? Why? Did you choose to have kids with men that you could have relationships with? Did they just choose not to help at all? Like, like what's really going on here? Like, I kind of think it's this is why I think relationship management skill is so important for us, because if you're choosing to go sleep with people, you better have kids with people that can help you.
Let me tell you, I have three kids with it. I got married, had three kids. Let me tell you, even though I was a wife with three kids, I still carried most of the load.
Yeah, and
They just, I don't know what it
and
is.
maybe that's something that should be negotiated. I mean, if you're just talking about, for example, the taking care of kids,
It was
I would I
tough.
would I would advise young people to peep out the situation before you even roll up in the bed with somebody or marry them. Like, try to get a sense of whether you're going to be doing everything by yourself or if you're going to get some help. You know,
Honey, these men, man, these men tell you anything. Oh, have as much kids as you want. I help you take care of all of them. Then you had the
yeah,
kids, and
that's
you're
true.
like, where you at? What's going
That's
on
true.
here? I believed you.
That is true. I can't even argue with that. Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
crazy. But whatever it is, she still was a beacon. And she was a beacon for making sure
Who's
you
she?
got
She who? Who are you talking about?
Simone Biles. Simone
Oh,
Biles
okay.
was still a beacon of
She was?
keeping your mental health together.
Oh, you
Yeah.
mean when she took her time
When
off?
she took her time off,
Okay. I
she
thought you were
ex-
talking about like
she
she died or something.
self-disclosed. She talked about things that were uncomfortable, and I think for the most part people loved her for that. You know, and I think we're in a new era. Like I was talking to my 13-year-old, and all of her friends, they all have therapists. And like they talk about it like a badge of honor. Like, oh,
Hmm.
my therapist, such and such, and my therapist. And I think it's so wonderful. Like, I think the stigma of like going to therapy and admitting that you have help, there's strength in saying, I need help. And no more is it a weakness to say, I need help. And that is like a turn in this generation that I am like super excited about.
Yeah, I don't think there ever should have ever been a stigma for asking for help. I think that it's the stigma. I think there should be stigmas for holding on to crutches as excuses for not showing up in your as your best self. But I think if you still want to show up as your best self, then asking for help is the best way to do that. I think it's stubborn to not ask for
Yeah.
help, right? It's
Well,
kind of
well, the
it's
pressure's still on.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But for some
Hmm.
people, I've seen some people just give up on life because they fold and buckle,
Yeah.
like little wimps when things get hard, and I think that's also a failed strategy in life, right? So, I think that therapists are great. I love talking to my therapist, but when I'm talking to my therapist, I'm trying to get to the inner mechanics of how Boyce operates so we can figure out how to make sure Boyce shows up as a lion who's absolutely prepared to accomplish all of his goals.
Okay,
You
as
know,
you talk about yourself in the third person,
yeah, you're damn
you
right.
know how I feel about that.
You're damn right. Me and Boyce are in agreement
Oh
on
my
this. We
God,
we are in agreement.
no.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, seriously, I don't know. Again, I can't judge that generation
Yeah,
of our youngest. Right, she's 13. It's a whole different world in certain
different
ways.
world.
Right, but I think they can learn a little bit from tough people. Tough people go through tough experiences.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. So I'm teaching at my university, and I got a letter from the ADA, American Disability Association. So you get a letter if you have a student in your class that has whatever a disability, you get a letter from the university saying this particular student has this disability, and you need to make this accommodation for
Oh
them.
Lord,
So no,
so I'm so
it's
glad.
not no. Oh
So I'm
Lord,
so
no, no,
glad I don't have to
no.
work for these
No, no,
universities.
no,
But go
no,
ahead,
no.
please.
I
Thank you.
love that I get that letter
Okay.
because I make the accommodations.
Okay.
But
Nice.
listen, I'm going to grade you just as hard as I grade any of my other students,
Okay.
right?
Right.
So that disability that you have is not a crutch.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get your accommodations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I'm going to grade you just as I grade everybody else. So you're still going to be measured by the same standards as everybody else in the class, but you will get your accommodation. I mean, by law, I have to do it, right?
Right.
But by law, I still got to grade you like everybody else. So it's almost like you have this, you get your accommodations, but you can't use it as a crutch, right?
Mm.
So there's a delicate balance in there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. There is a balance. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think the big challenge is that we don't always even label disabilities properly. I think it's not a coincidence that black boys end up in special ed the most. And I think that there's some of these any disability that's arbitrary that's not clear. Like it's clear you can easily see if somebody's blind. You can easily see if somebody can't walk. But when you start getting into ADHD and
Invisible disabilities, right?
right, the invisible
Yeah.
disabilities, I think that you have to be really careful with that. And I don't even know if the teachers are always qualified to identify what they are.
Well, the teachers don't identify. Like it has to be identified by a medical professional, and they have to write up a letter,
Right.
and they have to say, "Here's what it is," and make these accommodations. But the teacher has to teach everybody the same. You know what I mean? They have to grade them the same and evaluate them the same. But you do have to have accommodations, and I like that. I like that students have accommodations
Of
because
course.
instead of calling it disability, it should be differently abled. Everybody has a different way of learning, and I really do think the educational system should do some catering to that.
Hmm.
So I'm not opposed to it personally.
Well, I'm not here to knock it. I Yeah, I have mixed feelings on that, so I'm not even going to go into my.
You're not gonna go
Yeah,
into
I'm
it.
not saying I don't believe it. I believe it, but I've seen so much BS. I'm probably too cynical to properly
You're
even address
cynical.
it.
You're in the
Yeah, I'm
cynical.
too cynical to be sensitive about it at this point. But anyway, everybody, you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. If you could do us a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified. Also, Dr. Alicia's website is coachingwithdralicia.com. She's a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. And my website is boycewatkins.com. So if you want to take a look at my book or get any support on stock market investing, that's what I wrote my dissertation on. Feel free to go to boycewatkins.com. The URL is right there on the screen. All
And
right.
I'm
So,
all about compassion, boys.
absolutely.
I
I
think
think
we
compassion's
I
important.
think that's us as black people.
Right.
We need to have more compassion for ourselves and for each other.
Absolutely.
If that would compassion is beautiful.
Absolutely. I think compassion is a great thing for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
love is in need of love.
yeah. I think I also like the term tough love. I think if you receive nothing but compassion, I think young people can overdose on compassion,
No,
where it's
there's
like
no
every
such
time.
thing as too much
No, I
compassion.
think there can be in the sense that if every time I come up short or I show up late, or I do something wrong, if I'm always sort of given a pass because I have a good
Oh, wait,
excuse.
wait, hold on. Giving a pass is not the same thing as compassion.
Okay, explain the difference.
I think that's where we were mixing it up. Like
Okay.
compassion. So, like, if you have standards for your child and your child didn't do what they were supposed to do, you can discipline them in a way that shows compassion, right?
Okay.
So you can say, here, this is what the standards were. This is what the consequences are of your behavior. So that's the biggest thing. You have to like let people know it's their behavior that got them in trouble. And you have to, the piece on compassion is saying, you are a wonderful, beautiful, capable person
Hmm.
as a person, but your behavior was unacceptable.
Right.
And it's important to make that distinguish. You have to distinguish between the two. You as a person is not a bad person. What you did was wrong.
Okay.
That's
So,
the compassionate
well,
part.
then I'm in agreement. I think
Okay.
compassion's fine as long as you don't let people off the hook. Accountability. You have to have accountability. You have to have,
Yeah.
things like, and I think it's funny because when some people were asking me about what was going on with the Tulsa real estate fund, and they said, "Oh, you want to give Jay Morrison a pass because you know him?" And I said, "Well, I know."
No.
No, no, no. Listen, listen, listen.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me finish. I know a lot of people. I know I've helped tons of people. Julian is going back and forth with Jay. I've helped both of those guys. But also, I said accountability is called for. If there's accountability, then I say go hold them accountable. Like so at the same so my point
Yeah.
is to say that I think that compassionate accountability is important. I think understanding um, what's going on and hearing all sides, and like, okay, so you didn't do this right. So what happened? Okay, tell me what's going on. Okay, I get that, but here's the consequence for that, right? And I think that consequences matter because I think that there are too many young people, unfortunately, that it seems aren't really being faced with consequences, and then it causes them problems in life. So don't be letting your kids off the hook. All right, so let's answer. We're gonna answer a few questions before we head on out of here.
We got questions?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, let's see here. Is Jay a con? No way. That's yet to be determined. So I'm gonna leave that up to the Tulsa real estate fund investors. What happened with Jay? I had a dream where I bought that fund and turned it around. Well, maybe he did. Maybe that would be great. That would be awesome. Does anybody else have any questions for us before we head on out? We'll kind of have an open space where we can answer questions. And while you guys put your question in the chat, make it short. Make it like one sentence, really quick. I want to remind everybody that the All Black National Convention is happening very soon, October 20th in Atlanta. And also, I'll be in Los Angeles this week, the 8th and the 9th. And there's also an event in Austin, Texas. I'm speaking at a conference down there at the end of September. I don't have the information, but if you go to my website, boycewatkins.com, I put all the information up there. So feel free to go take a look at that. Let's see here. Unity first is the key. Yes, it is. Let's see. Chairman Lepore says acquisition style. Okay, that doesn't
Good.
seem like a question, or a comment, but it's okay. You can. Okay, acquisition style. All right. I don't know what that
Wait, he's
means.
the chairman for the poor. That's beautiful.
Well, that's good. I think that's great.
Chairman of the poor.
Yeah. Do poor people need a chairman?
Well, they got one.
They do.
Bravo to them.
Everybody go follow Chairman of the Poor.
I
Let's go.
like that.
Let's go to his page and see what he's up to. What's the best stock to buy now? You know what, Andre? I haven't picked any stocks for this week. However, if you go to boycewatkins.com, you can get on the list, and I'll send you the profit alert. So just go to my website, brother. You can find it right there. And there's Alicia's website. All right. Any other questions? We'll answer a couple more, and then we head on out. I'll tell you, babe. I feel like right now, in the black community, I feel like the internet has made us so much smarter. I think the internet has allowed us to really connect in really powerful ways. I can tell you that 14 years ago, nobody was really interested in financial literacy. We go places and try to get people to support what we were doing, and they weren't interested because they said black people don't want to learn about money. And since that time, so many things have changed, and it's kind of just become second nature. And what I'm excited about is I believe long term, this is really going to pay dividends for the black community. I think long term, our kids and grandkids are going to be the ones that are really going to take things to the next level. So I'm really excited about the movement that's happening right now. Oh, the Dream bought the Tulsa Fund acquisition style. Okay, I see, got it. Okay, so you finished your question, Chairman Report. Okay, I see that. Hey, Detroit Detail, how are you? All right, so we're gonna get head on out of here. And by the way, this podcast is on Spotify. So if you go to if you go to Spotify and look up my name, you can find it there. Is the poor market performance Biden's fault? No, not really. There's a lot of things Biden has done that could be challenged or questioned, but the stock market, it naturally ebbs and flows. It naturally goes up and goes down. The market has not had really it's actually had quite a good performance this year, but it's only sort of a select few stocks at the top, and also when it takes off like it did the first half of the year, you can expect a cooling off period. So don't let that scare you. I think the stock market historically has proven to be an extraordinary wealth builder. Extraordinary. I mean, if you just bought consistent shares of Apple stock over the last 10, 15 years, you'd have an insane amount of money. So I just encourage you to do that. Okay, so Dual, let's see, Dual took you put a link to my Instagram. Well, the real Boyce Watkins Instagram, that should be gone. I don't think that's up anymore. Instagram took that down, but my Instagram now is Dr. Boyce Finance. So feel free to follow me on Instagram at Dr. Boyce Finance. Be careful of those fake accounts though, because they get pretty crafty. So if it looks like I'm coming in your inbox inviting you to invest in crypto or something, just know that that's not me, and please report those accounts because I hear some of y'all are actually being taken by these scammer people, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, so please be careful. All right, so take care, everybody. God bless you. Love you, and I hope you all have a great night. And we will talk to you soon. Take care now.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.